Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And today we're talking about the Incubus and the Succubus. Incubi and Succubi, those sex demons that Succubi. If you're not aware of, you're about to be.
Right. I think they're...
I mean, they're somewhat in pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
They're not huge in pop culture. They are definitely big in religion. Mm-hmm. If you know your religions, especially Abrahamic ones.
Well, I was thinking, with the Succubus and the Incubus, I almost said, I think they're one of the most known type of demon. But am I wrong? Would it be something else?
I honestly don't think they're the most well-known type of demon anymore. So. Now, back in the 14, 15, 1600s when they became popularized within the Christian culture and what have you, to, as we will discuss later, explain away them wet dreams, the nocturnal emissions,
or maybe they're not even dreams at all and this guy's just I didn't do that. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. It was this chick. I don't know. But I don't think they're very widely known anymore. I don't as far as demons go, right? I think your run-of-the-mill demonic possession that happens to a family like you see in the movies would be the most common these days. But in our history, I think they would have been the most common demon.
Gonna do a little bit of a disclaimer or whatever. So we are talking about sex demons.
Yeah, there's a lot of sex and sperm and semen and vagina.
Well, because
and positions.
We were talking about it's a way to explain a wet dream, and then I was just thinking can you imagine it's probably this guy and he's jacking off or whatever, and someone walks in and he's like,
oh my God, I just woke up.
Right.
Fuck, something had control of my arm. I don't know.
Exactly.
God. Yeah. Well, and again,
I don't know what happened.
As we talked behind the scenes and offline, sexual repression is not great unless you like kids. Then, I don't know, go get yourself locked up. But, otherwise, it's not healthy for us to repress our sexual desires and our sexual orientations.
Sex or to get off in general.
Right, because that's when you repress those things, it's when it leads to bad ways of those things coming out.
I get what you're trying to say. I'm sure our people get what you're trying to say. As long as it's legal.
Yeah. Right. And so, the whole thing about the Incubus and the Succubus is, part of that lore comes about because sexuality was so repressed in biblical times, in those medieval times. That's the M word I was looking for earlier.
I almost
medieval. Asked. Yes. So in medieval times is when the Incubus and the Succubus were popularized, and
particularly in Christian community, because they had them whorehouses in the middle,
but. Yeah, I mean, they absolutely did, but they also, they wanted to not admit that.
Right, it was
sex is a dirty little secret that's swept under the rug, which is where sex demons come into play, because they were used as an excuse for why you would wake up with sheets soaked in semen, and your wife's what the fuck, and he's I don't know, because you're both sexually repressed individuals, and or from the end of the Incubus, that lady who's never gotten any good loving because her husband's super Bible-y and believes what they tell you in the medieval times, and she doesn't get any good dickin'. I can't imagine a life with no good dickin'. I'd probably think about sex when I was half asleep, too.
Yeah.
I like good dickin'.
Yeah, that'd be sad.
Yeah, so I guess let's get into what an incubus and a succubus are. Succubus.
Sponsor us.
I'm not
gonna
I bet we should have, you know what? This would have been the episode where it would have been appropriate to go to Bad Dragon's website.
I tried to at them on Twitter, and they didn't have a Twitter.
I still...
They Maybe it's a good thing they didn't.
Right. But I wonder, like, do they have an incubus dick that's, like, do they have a succubus?
Oh, you know what? I won't. I'm sorry. I was going to look it up. I literally reached
Let us
my
not
phone.
go down that rabbit hole on camera.
I'm sure they do.
The faces.
I know. I'm like, add to cart.
So what would the incubus dildo be like? It would be invisible, but you could feel it.
I feel like it would probably just be a regular dildo, and they'd call it Incubus.
Right.
You know?
Well, it would have to be slightly cold, because like one of the things that I definitely read and heard about in the different incubus and succubus lore that I read about and listened to was that, like, incubus, so that's the male demon, the male sex demon that has sex with women. The incubus, it said that, like, either the member or the fluid was cold.
Well, and I think that also goes into, like, when I was doing research on this topic, it's very similar to the vampire.
Yep.
But not because it doesn't drink, your blood.
It
drinks your
semen.
essence. Oh.
It does both. Well, because, okay, so the thing that you guys may not know about incubus and succubus, those who are supposed victims, and I'm not trying to downplay anybody out there that's like, I get sucked off every night by a succubus and I'm not happy about it.
Most rated R episode. We gotta advertise it as that too on Twitter. Be like, not just safe for work.
Yeah. I guess the picture, I'll have the rated R symbol in the background and then put the title of the episode over it. But so, like, in the incubus and succubus lore, if you are a victim of an incubus or a succubus, like, part of it is, like, your mental health declines, your physical health declines. It's as if your essence is being drained away.
You know what that almost sounds like? In, like, the 40s and the 50s?
Emo vamp? But no.
No. Well, I was thinking in the 40s and the 50s when women would have...
Where they got masturbated by their doctor as a treatment for depression? Is that what you're thinking about?
No, I almost said necrophilia, but what I meant was it's not nymphomania.
Oh.
Okay? I was totally wrong. I guess you could say, like, well, demons aren't dead, so demons were never people.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I was aware of a big thing in the 40s and the 50s about nymphomania outbreaks in women.
They would put them in homes, mental asylums.
Oh, well, that's not... No, that's because that's like the Lilith syndrome. It's because them bitches liked having sex and their husband couldn't control them.
Absolutely.
And then he'd lock her up. She wasn't actually a nymphomaniac. She was just a woman who wanted to fucking enjoy fucking.
Oh, yeah.
Which... I fully support y'all.
You saw...
And we're not going to say the L word too much, because during my research for this, I found that if you say her name too much, it invites bad things into your life. Yeah.
Okay, I won't.
Yeah, I know. So the L word.
With American Horror Story Asylum, shout out to her pop culture, right? That one bitch is in there because she's a nymphomaniac, because she just really likes to have sex.
Right.
Because that was before the 60s and the 70s when the female sex...
Well, yeah, but I mean, really, yeah, she wasn't actually a nymphomaniac. They just locked her up as one because she liked to have sex, and I am going to refer to that shit as the Lilith syndrome from now on. Again, the L word. But, like... Just because you're a woman who wants to get your rocks off doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you.
Well, surely an ancient demon is possessing you and trying to impregnate you.
Yeah.
Surely that's the most logical.
Absolutely.
As for men, I almost said something hateful.
Well, okay, so let's be clear. From what I learned... I was surprised to learn this. There's all sorts of modern encounters of incubus and succubus.
Oh my God, I was reading
all
on
over
Reddit.
Yeah. Males quite often invite it. They try to call a succubus to them. They're like, woman, come fuck me.
Because
women don't do that. From what I didn't read anyone where a woman invited the incubus. Other than by enjoying it after he already came to her. Did you read any where the woman summoned one?
I have read a short erotic story about
if
my eyes were glazing, it was because I was remembering this really weird short erotic story that I read.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, but I just mean like, so like, it seemed to be like 50-50 on the succubus stories. Like quite often, dude was trying to call a succubus to him.
That is the spiritually speaking, that is the
so
fucking
stupid.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and then they're like, I'm haunted. I don't know what happened. I've got a demon attached to me.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're so fucking dumb. Did it even work?
With some of them, yes, it did. That was the story. Is like I'd been trying for a while, and then I finally succeeded, and I felt. But do
you think is that like a placebo where they talk themselves and they're like, I'm gonna.
I wonder. I do wonder because one of the stories, like the guy described feeling fingers, like not just like a breeze, but the actual feeling of fingers going up the skin on the inside of his thighs under his pajamas, and I'm like, that does seem like more of a sensation,
Ghostbusters, right? 1980s.
But I mean, succubus is supposedly you mostly won't see her or him, incubus being the him.
So there was this really sexy scene in the remake of The Exorcist. Okay. I think I talked about this in our later episode. We're talking about incubus and shit. I'm embarrassed to say that it was kind of hot, but like she's like in this like not really a nunnery, but she's like in a home for girls, like, or for young women that live with nuns, like in a Catholic area. I don't know what it would be called, whatever. Anyway, so she's sleeping, and then slowly she rises up into the air, and her blanket falls off.
And then they like have sex in the air.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That is kind of, yeah.
But I mean, it was super cool. It wasn't like shitty ass Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. Yeah, like she didn't die.
This was made in 2012. It had okay.
Oh, you're talking about the graphics. I just meant the end result.
Oh, the end result as well, but it had okay graphics. It wasn't horrible. It looked really cool. I was like, damn. Oh my god, what am I saying? No.
Right. I'm like, no. Like, here's the other thing with women. So women don't generally invite an incubus, right? But like, what I learned was if the woman enjoys her encounter with the incubus, that pleasure that she takes in and of itself invites the incubus back.
Well, of course she's going to enjoy it. It's a fucking demon.
Well, not always.
He knows what he's going to... Oh, unless he's doing...
Right, because like sometimes the incubus starts off all like sweet and sexy, like, right? And it's a lonely woman who like one of the stories was a woman whose husband had just come back from like Iraq, and so he was dealing with all these emotional things, and so like they were not having sex, and she'd been not having sex because he was gone, right? So now he's laying right next to her and she's still not having sex, which she understands, but at the same time your body's got urges, and so she felt this entity come to her, and it was very gentle and it was very tender.
And he came back from Iraq. Oh my god, what if it was like
a jinn?
A jinn.
Oh, right. God, I didn't even think about that. But like the demon came to her and she carnally enjoyed the pleasure. It wasn't bad. So after a while of this happening, because it came back to her regularly, she says, then all of a sudden it turns up the volume, right? Because it started out at a 2, all nice and happy, the 2 of cups.
Thai food 2, where it's still spicy, but...
Right, and then like turns it up to a goddamn 11, like in Spinal Tap, man, and like goes all the way past 10, and it's like brutal, and it's painful, and other demons are involved. And she's like, whoa, I don't like this. But she's already invited it in. She's already let it have that piece of her. So like she has to like she has to like go. She ends up reaching out to a friend. Like she was raised Jewish, so she reaches out to a friend who I believe was Catholic, who guided her and counseled her on what she needed to do to get rid of this attachment from this demon, because essentially it was that she allowed an attachment to happen.
Well, and people need to understand as well, demon attachments, whether they be succubus, incubus, or whatever type
kind
of demon, it's not that easy to just cut that tie.
No, it's fucking
especially when you inadvertently invited in, and I say inadvertently because I'm assuming people aren't. I don't want to.
Not everyone is purposefully inviting demons in. Some of y'all are, and
that's on you.
Yep.
That's on you. But so I imagine to get rid of an incubus or a succubus would maybe be even a little bit harder because it has that power over you.
Well, very much. You have to tell them no from the get-go. You're not welcome here. You're not invited. I do not allow what you're doing to me. Like, you have to be firm and no. Like, no. No. And you have to stick to your guns even when it comes back. Because, like, this lady talked about,
that did not go according to plan.
Well, and also, like, they're tricksters. Like, so as I was reading about the fact that they're tricksters, I reflected on my own experience when I was religiously using some substances and having a nice psychedelic time. And, I had music playing in my head, and then Apollo was playing with other things, and we were up in the stars, and it was a good old time. And then I was like, was that Apollo? Was that a demon? I still believe, upon reflection, as you and I discussed, I still believe it was Apollo, but demons are tricksters, right? So they'll tell you whatever they want you to believe.
Oh, absolutely. And they're very...
they are.
Very believable.
They are very believable. What is not...
Like, no offense, guys. I'm sorry, but seriously, fuck them, because, like...
But don't.
Oh! No,
I couldn't.
I can think on one instance where Amber and I have been personally tricked by a demon, and you think that they can't pull the wool over your eyes, but they
can. They sense your weakness before you even sense them. I would say is a good way to put it.
Fucking bastard.
Fucking assholes. And or they're already prepared for you when you're starting to sense them, so they put up, in a sense, walls left and right as they determine your weakness. I'm not sure which is right there. But
so for me,
either which way.
And again, this goes with Incubus and Succubus as well, on the topic of just demons in general. I don't think they can read your mind, but I think they're very intuitive and can all but read your mind. Like you said, they can sense your weaknesses.
Right. So if you're putting off a vibe, even if you're like, maybe they can't read the specific thoughts, but they can pick up on the vibe you're putting off.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, that's where like with the Incubus and the Succubus, you're like, oh yeah, touch me there. They're like, hey, I know how to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not being able to read your mind, but maybe find the best, and I'm not saying this in a positive way, please. Maybe find the best way to trick you, if you will, into saying yes.
Right? I'm sitting here going, God, I am so guilty right now. I may or may not have gotten quite a bit of Randy energy from the last eclipse. And I may or may not have been listening to Sublime. And I may or may not have started talking to Bradley's ghost and was like, dude, you know. And now I'm like, I am stupid. Bradley Noel is Bradley.
And then there's some random ass thing that's
it's
like,
all about
I'm
the voice.
Bradley.
I have a thing for dude voices. Like, it's voices. And no, I didn't hear Bradley's voice. But Bradley Noel, lead singer of Sublime, his voice. Yes, I know, I'm stupid. I didn't think about it at the time. I was just like, that full moon energy had me all crazy. Corey's
so
like,
I would take a charcoal bath.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, I'm going to listen to some Slightly Stupid and be like, look, Brad, I know what I said.
And Brad's like,
but bitch. And I'll be like,
sorry,
I can change my mind.
You said yes, now you gotta
Nope, I'm a woman. I can always change my mind.
Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of, okay, so the stupidest thing for me about Incubus, Succubus lore. Okay, so those of you who listen to us, I assume most of our listeners have heard of the Malleus Maleficarum, which is the book of the witch's hammer. It's got all those things about, it started the fucking witch hunts over in Europe, The Malleus Maleficarum is a fucking mess, and it's just all fucking stupid nonsense. But it covers the incubus and the succubus, as well as how to determine witches and how to kill witches. It talks about the incubus and the succubus, and it talks about how the succubus, she fucks the dude to harvest his sperm. Then she hands the sperm off to the incubus, and while they have the sperm, they make it all weird and evil. And
probably by fucking them, like,
right. I assume they fuck each other.
That's gross. That's like playing fucking telephone with
sperm. Because then the incubus, once he gets a hold of the sperm, he goes to a woman and he tries to impregnate her. And then if she has that kid, it's like the demons are spawning themselves. And like that kid is what's called a cambion. And that means that kid is either sensitive with the gift and susceptible to spirit messages, or somehow disabled.
I have such a nasty imagination.
Right? Well, your imaginations are going to go wild with this next theory from the same line of thinking, where the incubus and the succubus aren't two separate entities. It's one demon that is a succubus female entity when it lays with the male. Then it changes to a male incubus when it lays with the woman.
To me.
It bothers me more too.
This one is genuine. Like, I can deal with the male and female fucking the other one.
Yeah, and it's like swap and spit and then swap and spit and
Ew! No, that was what I was like. Is that how they did?
That reminds me of a party I was at as a teenager.
Dude, I'm so glad that I am not as disgusting as I thought I was, because that was exactly what I was thinking, and I was like, that is gross.
It's gross. It is. Yeah. No.
That is something from a horror movie.
It is.
But I think it's more disturbing to me for it to be one demon and shape shift, and while in the like as I'm seeing it, in the middle of it, you've got the female and you've got the male, but its true figure is like
something otherworldly.
With horns.
Oh.
I was thinking with horns, very stereotypical devil.
So I have been thinking about otherworldly imagery a lot lately. And so I'm thinking of it as like this shapeless entity, and it's more of a feeling than an appearance. Does that make sense?
Like a Boggett from Harry Potter, where they open the thing and it doesn't have a shape. Nobody's seen its true shape. It turns into your darkest fear.
Oh, like it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is like it, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, shit, there's some other... I bet there's some lore behind that we need to look into and find out what that creature is. Yeah.
Because like
changeling shapeshifter shits.
It has a true shape, but no one ever sees it because whoever sees it, it turns into their biggest fear. Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know. Like that one, the whole idea of it going from female to male also bothers me in some weird fucking way. And it's not even like that it goes, it's the fact that it's this whole time it's holding on to this wad of sperm while it's changing. I don't know, like there's something fucking weird about it. Well, like it just hits you wrong, you know what I mean?
Sperm is gross. Like, I mean,
yeah, salty, in general, not pleasant. Like, eat more fruit and vegetables, guys. Texture. I've heard stories that helps.
No offense, guys. Weird texture, like it. I don't know. Some people really like it, I guess. For me, it's like, I'm sorry, Amber. For me, it's just like, I can't think about it. I can't think about it. I'm talking about...
Are we making this X-rated now? Like, I'm not sure I should talk. I don't know.
I mean in general. Please, let's be clear. I'm not talking about the flavor. I'm not talking about the... I'm just talking about in general.
Thank you for clarifying. I will not talk.
Okay. The concept is gross.
I'm not grossed out at all by the concept. The texture, however, but we're not going down that route.
Obviously,
Just
we're
don't
not
get it in my
succubus.
hair.
Oh my god, that's the worst. I have long hair.
No, it's not the worst.
I have long. Oh my god.
Like, there's other things that it can like be very not fun to get out of, especially if you're wearing makeup.
Oh my god.
That said, I always say like, don't
How about
touch my
just
hair.
don't touch me with that? And our listeners are like, okay,
Oh my
Maddie's
god,
the
okay.
proof.
Not really, guys, but anyway, like everybody's got their own things. Anyway.
Ew, get the fuck away from me. That would be so shitty. Definitely
Really
not.
take that over there, sir.
Okay, well, see ya.
Speaking of seeing, so did you read about specific visuals on either of them?
I did not. From most of what I've read, it's just like a very attractive woman or an attractive male. I didn't read that they had any sort of specific physical traits, like a fucking horns or some shit like that.
Right, like, so
I wonder
I've
if
read
it's
multiple things, like some, so especially back in like Malleus Maleficarum days, right, she was like a woman with like wings, but she was like beautiful and grotesque at the same time. Does that make sense?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm
Like,
picturing
think
like
about-
a sexy gargoyle.
Okay, right.
Like,
that is actually one description was
like-
gargoyles, but also I'm picturing like, okay, have you ever looked at something and at first glance, oh, I'm going to sound crazy when I keep talking. Okay, so at first glance, it looks one way. And then you look back at it again, and it's like that close-up from SpongeBob where it's all gross, right?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I think I once told you, like, when I meet new people, I see them differently than I sometimes see them the next time. And I wonder, do I see them the way that they
You
really
see their
are?
true face and then
do I
you
see their
the
true
mask.
face and then I see the mask? Or do I see their mask and then I see their true face later? Like, whatever. But, you know, it's something I experience. And that is actually how I picture a lot of things I read, is where they said, like, it appeared like a beautiful person, but then, like, at the same time, like, it
What
wasn't.
if when it orgasms, it's
Oh,
face?
it just like...
Or when you orgasm, when you orgasm, you say it's like you
That's
say it
when
like
it has
this,
its O face.
and I'm like imagining you had like the sexy maid from American Horror Story,
Right.
And then
The old lady.
oh, sorry, and then you got the old lady maid. That's exactly what I'm thinking. That is so funny.
Like, so you bring up American Horror Story, so we've definitely got at least one Incubus encounter, right?
Which one?
So whether you want to call it Murder House or Apocalypse, when Tate fucks the mom
there's
while
two.
he's wearing the rubber suit, he's been taken over by the
an
devil.
incubus.
Or by an
Yeah,
incubus.
yeah.
And that's when he impregnates her, right? And they bring it up in Apocalypse, but it happens in Murder House. So either which way you want to slice it,
Well, and I was
we've
also
got that
thinking-
incubus there.
Did you watch Roanoke?
Oh, yeah.
But she wasn't like a demon, she was a witch, but she was fucking that guy.
yeah.
And he was like in a trance every time.
Yeah.
And then
And,
his
like,
wife
I
would walk
100% think that counts as succubus
because his
activity.
wife would walk in and then he'd be like, I don't remember. And she'd be like, you wanted it.
Yeah.
Oh
like,
my
you
God.
fuck. Yeah, no, that's 100%
Oh my God.
succubus.
Lady Gaga.
Right. I did like her in that.
I did. It was good. She was good.
I feel like the last time we talked about the Roanoke thing, there was another thing that I was mentioning. It was this exact same thing where, like, he was fucking the chick and didn't know it. But I can't remember now what that was. But I will say my favorite succubus from pop culture has to be Callie from Ugly Americans, because she's one of the main characters, and she's Mark's boss that... Mark is the social worker who's also fucking her. But, like, he's super nice. He's like a hippie in a world of people who are trying to bring on the end of days. So he's fucking a demon, which right off is kind of weird, right? And she's attracted to the fact that he's such a soft pussy-ass motherfucker. Like, that's... Because she's a demon.
Oh,
You know,
I'm sorry.
like she goes to
Opposites
hell,
attract.
right?
Yes,
exactly. And yeah, and it's so great. And I just watched right before I went to get you. I was watching the Treegasm episode, which shout out to Tim from Against All Oddities podcast, who said that he will never see Pollen the same way again. Treegasm, that's the episode where all that shit that made me change your way of thinking came from. But like it's about the trees have to have sex or like they will destroy the town. In the same episode. It sounds
almost like a Black Mirror episode.
But it's a cartoon.
Oh,
it's very... Yeah, no, Ugly American. It's a Comedy Central cartoon from the mid 2000s. So like 2008, 2009, something like that. I got the first season for Mother's Day because for Mother's Day I just asked for a bunch of cartoons. I was like, Oblongs, Drawn Together, Ugly Americans, and I can't remember what else. But I got Drawn Together, I got the Oblongs, and I got one season of Ugly Americans because that shit's expensive. Like, Ugly Americans is way too expensive. But anyway, in the Treegasm episode, because Callie's a fucking succubus, she's got to shed her skin. And when the act of shedding her skin, she has to, I don't know. Was that the gray guy? He doesn't want us talking.
Oh my God, seriously? Is there anything out there? I'm like,
it might be a cat. I don't know.
I don't know. That was like,
bam. But
I'm scared, Amber.
She's got to shed her skin, and it's super painful for her. And the only thing that makes her feel better is having sex. So like she's just like constantly wanting to get nailed because she's a succubus. So she's craving sex to cure her pain. That's what I watched right before this, and I was like, oh, I didn't even mean to put this. Like it wasn't a plan that I'm watching this for the Succubus episode. But how perfect.
So when I think pop culture and Succubus, I do think Jennifer's Body. We got, what's that bitch's name? Megan Fox. I'm sure you've seen her in the news lately. You haven't? Her and Machine Gun Kelly.
Corey. Oh, yes.
They're so funny.
I saw headlines, but I couldn't tell you what.
They talked about how they first met. She's like, when I first saw you, I said, you smell like weed. And he's like, and I said, I am weed. Like, they're the weirdest.
I wanted that to be cooler than it was.
Well, like, the truth is, everybody says Megan Fox is really weird and their relationship is really weird, but she's just a crazy pagan. She calls him her twin flame and she believes that she created him when she was born. He was created. Like, so yeah, like, to everybody else, it's like, oh my God, that's weird. To pagans, it's like, I get that though.
Oh yeah, like I get that. I mean? Yeah, I firmly believe my soul contract is this motherfucker in my house.
Well, the way she explained it was like, we're not two souls, we're one soul who reached nirvana. But now, we're one soul that was split in two, and to reach nirvana, we have to bring our souls. Yeah, so
that is fucking beautiful.
Oh, you should. Yeah, it was really cool.
That's beautiful.
But anyway, Megan Fox gets brutally murdered, which is based on a true murder. I actually watched a podcast about it. Yeah. By a satanic band or some shit. It was like satanic people. She comes back to life as a succubus, and she wants to get revenge on men. Yeah. So what does she do? She has sex with them and
you know what? Now that I think about it, that's a huge thing in a lot of horror movies. Is a chick that gets killed, she comes back to kill men, and sex is just part of the way that she does it.
Because that's the best way for a woman to control a man.
Right.
Historically speaking.
Right. That's your power is in your yoni.
Yeah, no. What is it Cersei Lannister says? Well, the most power you have isn't in your tears, it's in between your legs.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's how women have survived. Mm-hmm. Throughout history.
I mean, but it's also been the downfall of women throughout.
Oh, exactly. Because and men are
men are afraid of the punani. Okay, they're afraid of that poontang.
They are, but they're so dumb.
Right, they want it, but they fear it, they don't want anybody else to have it once they have.
Oh well,
sorry, guy listeners, we don't mean you. We mean the other guys that don't listen to
history.
Us. Yeah.
They want it.
I'm talking about the assholes who wrote Mary Magdalene as a whore and wrote the other stories out of the Bible altogether.
Well, the thing is, though, pillow talk is very real and has been used against men for centuries.
Oh, yeah. Spy games, mine. Honey pot.
Fully believe that... This shout out to our Washington, D.C. listener. fully believe JFK may have let some shit slip to Marilyn during their little Peloton. She's like, I love you. He's like, oh, you work so hard. You're president. And he's like, you wouldn't believe the day I had. You know what I mean? Because men are so dumb.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the Russians during World War II, they had their own thing. Like, they were called swallows and sparrows and something else. Yeah. They had men and women. They had men enlisted as well.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. I imagine their job was a lot harder. But, like...
I don't know.
Well, they did it during the Civil War, too, where, like, a woman would pretend to, like, be a prostitute or something. She'd have sex with the general and be like,
find out where they were going next. Yep.
So, oh, it's just a long journey, you know, we're heading to Georgia.
Oh, really?
So maybe that's the origin.
Code. Georgia.
The origin of the succubus is just a woman sucking out information, literally.
I mean, seriously,
She's like, so, what's the Pope up to these days? He's like, oh, well, he's just, you know...
Oh, well, back in 999, the Pope was up to a succubus named Meridiana. There was a Pope whose name I didn't look up in my phone, but... he was Pope from 999 through 1003. And he, for years and years, carried on a relationship with a succubus.
I bet it wasn't even a succubus.
Named Meridiana, who told him when he was going to die. I bet it was just a real woman.
Or a witch.
Maybe.
Or a real woman. or a witch. Like, I mean, a... Bitch, I don't know. You know,
like a woman who, she was magical, but she was not a demon.
Yes.
And I actually thought that myself as well. But he called her a succubus because they had wild, passionate sex, but not in real life because he was the Pope and he couldn't have sex. So it was a succubus that came to him every night for like fucking years. And then she told him he was gonna die, so he didn't go on the trip that he was gonna die on, but he got sick anyway, and he confessed all of his sins so he could be absolved before he died. And he told about his wild love affair with Meridiana the succubus. I'm gonna be so mad if I wrote her name down wrong and have been saying it wrong.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I would be so offended. Like, I'm fucking you real good, and
you're calling me a demon,
right? And like, I warned you.
You know what? I am a succubus. That is how good I am. It is supernatural pussy. That is what it is.
So pissed.
It's, you know what? You'd be pissed. I'd be like, yeah, bitch. My pussy is supernatural. Fuck you. Yeah, die, motherfucker.
I fucked the Pope, so...
Right, like...
Shout out to the Vatican.
I got holy water.
Oh my God! Amber.
Oh, this is the X-rated episode. It is not R-rated. It is X-rated.
The Holy of Holies.
Is that why they called it that?
I don't know.
It's gotta be. That's, again, men have, like, men go for the almighty dollar and the almighty hole. And that's okay, because, like, I love me a good dickin', so I'm not finding fault with men liking, to get laid. I'm not finding fault at all. I'm just saying, like, historically, it hasn't, their desires for the lady bits have not worked out well in the advantage of the ladies that own the bits.
Which is ridiculous. Humble yourself.
And then they get called succubus by the Pope.
Right. So shitty.
I know. Let me think. Is there... astrology. Okay. So you brought up astrology in the last episode, and it reminded me that somewhere in the Incubus, Succubus historical lore, they legitimately wrote that the Incubus uses astrology to impregnate women for the optimum worst childbirth time.
Gemini.
For like... Exactly!
Goddamn, now we know where...
Geminis and Scorpios. But yeah, like, they pulled astrology into the Incubus and Succubus lore and said that the Incubus uses astrology to make sure that he impregnates women during the optimum time to have the births happen during this astrological sign, right? So that made me think that's why everybody associates astrology with demonic shit and like bad juju shit. Like, not everybody. I mean the people outside of the magical community, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, astrology has a bad rap from, like, you know, the Christian Judeo line of thinking, right? And I wonder, in my head, I go, is it because it got brought into the succubus, incubus lore, so now it's something that a demon uses, so obviously it's bad, right? Whereas, like, you know, it used to be, like, I'm pretty sure Nostradamus, who maybe I would love to do an episode
the wise men used fucking
But yeah, they
astrology
used
to
astrology
get to
all the
Jesus.
time. And they used it, the wise men used it for Jesus. Kings that were Christian
They
used it
followed
all the
star,
time. Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
I didn't even think about that. But, like, the whole point is, like, it just made me think about that correlation, and maybe that's why astrology went from being okay to being evil. You know what I mean?
I could see that.
Because it was wrapped up in this lore. And I totally forgot when we were going over our notes, but you mentioned it in last episode. And so I was like, oh, let me write that shit down. And yeah, that's why. Because I was like, how fucking weird. Like, humans, did you plan your pregnancy for when you would have the child? Like, anybody go,
Oh my God.
I want a Virgo. Knock me up in January.
now I gotta look and
mean?
see what my newborn child will be, because I have no idea.
He will be a Leo or a Cancer.
Oh,
Wait, no, that's not true. He's August. Yeah, late July, early August, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's going to be a Leo or a Cancer.
No, yeah, I think
Because it goes
he'll
Cancer
be
then
a
Leo.
Cancer.
My brother was, well, if he's born in August, he'll be a Leo.
No, he's due in July 31st, but since we're taking him early, it'll be early July.
Oh, okay.
So he'll be a Cancer.
Yeah. Well, depending on what date, because, you know.
Hyper emotional, temperamental, and spiteful. Oh, good God. Here we go.
Cancers are that emotional sign.
Could be worse. Could be a Gemini.
Yes.
Or do you have a Gemini?
No.
Could be a Scorpio.
I'm married to one of those.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this R-rated
If we missed
episode.
anything on Incubus and Succubus, sorry. I said all I could think of, man. Like, yeah, so.
If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are 3 subscribers away from reaching our goal. We're also on Twitter at Classiest Witches and Instagram
At witchestalkingtarot. Hello, Miss Melissa. Thank you so much for your support on Patreon and helping us make a better show for you. And making us think of ideas for new merch, because that's been fun.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to talk about that.
Check out our behind the scenes stuff that'll go out later, like probably next week. And if you're listening to this and you wonder what that behind the scenes shit is, if you're wondering what that behind the scenes shit is, I guess you could sign up for Patreon and then you'll find out.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming to sit with us for a spell.